I am fearful of writing the story you are about to read. As I begin putting words into my computer, I wonder if I'll be able to finish telling it to you. At a minimum, I will be revisited often by the grief monster that has stalked me since the day in September 2002 when my 19-year-old son Alex died. At times, I can keep that monster at a safe distance, but all too often, I am suddenly caught in its net and pulled into profound anguish. I trusted my son's cardiologists, and that's the biggest mistake I have ever made. As the mystery of his death unfolded, I found an incredible conspiracy of ignorance and complicity among other cardiologists and physicians. I am not a cardiologist, but I am a PhD pathologist and board-certified toxicologist. Clueless patients continue to allow physicians to set and enforce their own standard of care.
Ask questions until they hate you. What I found out about my son's doctors appalled me. His story was not unique. Several 100,000 people at least every year in the United States have their lives cut short by medical errors. Most of this is not even known. I was shocked, first of all, at how little doctors could know and still practice medicine. My son's medical records were highly falsified. You don't have to trust me on that. They get away with it. That happens all the time. So I guess I was shocked that people that we trust, our doctors, are willing to do that to cover up their mistakes. They basically tried to push the cause of his death back on him, and they tried to assert that he refused a pacemaker, when in fact the only thing he was ever offered was a loop monitor, which doesn't really do anything, it just monitors. My son, fear was used on him to get his informed consent. That's one of the lowest forms of human interaction, as far as I'm concerned, is when you want to make money invading this young man's body and you scare the hell out of him to do it. I mean, what kind of ethics is that? But that's what they did. And doctors do that all the time. It's only by transparency and accountability that these things get fixed and the number of people that die early begins to go down. I got an email from a woman who's now the head of the cardiology, and she said, I have for years tried to get my colleagues to pay more attention to potassium, and they don't do it. You don't make any money replacing potassium. If you can sell them a cardiac catheterization or an elective physiology test, you can make some good money doing that. And that's what they did to my son. Okay, in my book, I've got 6 facets of what informed consent is and people need to look at that in the book. Doctors don't like it. People will look at that and say, this is what informed consent is, and I insist on having it. As you mentioned, I tried to get some justice. I went to the medical board. I even eventually went to the federal government. The federal government stonewalled me, and I'm not alone in that. Well, I had always been taught, I guess, that medical records were for exchange between doctors, that patients and their advocates and so on really shouldn't be reading that high-level stuff that doctors speak to each other in. I was wrong. I know that now. Why shouldn't you as a patient have the right to enough transparency and accountability in the system in which you're trusting your life to believe that you're going to get safe care? We're nowhere near that now. I wrote the book 6 years ago, but things are no better than they were 6 years ago. So there's huge cultural changes that are needed. The only person that integrates the care of a patient in a hospital is the advocate. And that's pretty scary if you don't have an advocate. Who is putting the pieces of your puzzle together so that you get optimal care? And if you don't have an advocate, it's nobody. You got to have an advocate, get control of your medical records, look at them, make sure you understand what's in there, ask questions until they hate you.
Alex James died September 18, 2002, of untreated severe potassium depletion. He was 6 days short of his 20th birthday.